Hey everyone, Coach Powers here. I wanted to answer one of your guys' comments. This comes from Shelly, and it's on the previous video I put out, which was, to ask yourself this question, this Benzo question, rather. It's the video right before this one. And anyway, I want to read you her comment, and then I want to respond to it, because I actually thought it was a great question. I've seen it come up a few times, and I thought, yeah, this is one I should probably dive in deeper so I can clarify myself a bit. So Shelly writes, David Powers, thank you for this. I totally agree. Yes, I would be relieved if someone said, hey, you will be fully recovered in a year or two. Hang in there. Totally relieved. The thing is that I have been wanting to ask you is this. You say this a lot, that most, in quotation, people recover. People in withdrawal are going to hook their brains on that word most and think, I will be the one that does not recover. It's because we have doubt as a symptom. Please explain why you say most, again in quotations, recover to folks who are still not healed. I'm almost afraid to hear the answer because I have told myself all along that I will make it through this. But that most people thing just gives me a sense of some may not recover. Very fair, right? This is very fair. I'll continue. She continues, I love all that you do. You have been so helpful to me in coaching sessions and your videos. But this one thing I have a hard time hearing you say. Is it because some people take a longer time? Dr. Jennifer Lee says on her blog and video that it took her 8 years to fully recover. She was quite sick and bedridden for some of it and functional, but still dealing with it during the rest. 8 years is rare, but apparently it happens. People sick in the middle of this have a hard time hearing that there is any chance that they won't heal and be back to normal life. Please explain why you say, in quotation marks again, most, capital letters, signed Shelly. Okay, so, this is a question I've gotten before, and I'll be just completely honest with you guys, right? Hold on, my cat is I'm having a moment here where he's got the other cat in the corner and trying to kill him. Can you guys take a break? Thanks. Okay. So where was I? Most. Look, guys, I'm gonna be transparent. It's really a disclaimer. It's a disclaimer. It's like me saying, they have it with marijuana. They say you can't say definitively marijuana's never killed someone, right? At least not directly. But then someone will say, yeah, if you smoke 3,000 joints, or if you eat 4 pounds of weed, or 87 edibles, yeah, it can happen, right? So it's just a disclaimer. It's like you have to say it, but really the question is, what's the probability? Now, I'll tell you this. I've never seen anyone that didn't recover. Never seen it. And now, as sure as I say that, there is going to be 10 people that are going to want to dislike the video immediately and say, this guy doesn't know anything. He hasn't seen enough. I know 50 people, Fair enough, right? But hey, maybe your experiences are different than mine. It is an anecdotal question here. I've worked with many, many people, hundreds, maybe 1,000. I don't know how many people now. I mean, several hundred, surely. And I've seen people heal and recover all the way. Now, yeah, it can take some years. So, I haven't seen all these people recover because we haven't worked from the beginning to the, 3 years after they're off or something. But I can tell you that everyone I've worked with has improved, and, and it's been different speeds. I've seen people just go to town. I've talked about it many times, people that were bedridden and I get them moving and changing their chemistry again, and they just go to town, and I'm talking 8 weeks. These people are like watching their kids' soccer game, uncomfortably, but hell, 8 weeks prior, they couldn't come downstairs or sit on the couch with their children to watch a movie, So, they couldn't answer a phone call. They couldn't answer the door if the post office guy was there, the mailman was there, right? Is that what they're called, mailman? So, again, it's really a disclaimer, guys. I've never seen no one not recover. And I argue this all the time that I really think what we're saying is people that didn't recover. I think a lot of it, if not all of it, is explainable through other variables, through other reasons. So let's take Dr. Jennifer Lee's case. Before I get on that, I want to say I love the use of the term doubt as a symptom, that people going through benzo have doubt as a symptom, because that's like almost poetically said, right? And it's absolutely true. Doubt, paranoia, fear. I mean, these are absolutely symptoms, and you got to be careful not to mistake a symptom for you, right? If you have a heart palpitation, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. If you have doubt, that may not mean that you're crazy or you're, that you're mentally ill, or even, it's just, this is the nature of the beast, So anyway, I just wanted to comment on that. Now, back to Dr. Lee, taking 8 years, again, first thing I ask, why? Why did it take her 8 years? What was her extending circumstances? And also, to be fair, guys, I don't know a lot about her. I don't study a lot of this stuff, these people, as closely. I know a lot of you guys are going through it, and you have different coaches and different people that videos you watch and get support from, and which is great. But my job is a coach, so I'm working with you guys. I'm not really, watching their videos, or I don't even know most of these guys' story, to be honest with you. I have reached out to many of them to try to have a conversation so I can get to know them in like a real sincere way, and we could share information, but that's another story. So why did it take her 8 years? I mean, first off, why was she on a benzo? Did she have any other, she obviously had something going on, some kind of mental illness, right? Something, affliction, something unresolved to put her on benzos. Was there any other drugs? Was there any other SSRIs or poly drugs? Or did she go on and off different psych meds throughout her life at times? Was there grief? Was there loss? Was there disability? Were there major life changes? Were there divorces, or again, profound life transitions, new career or retiring? What are the factors here? Is there any other factors on the table that could account for why someone can become mentally ill in the first place? Because my argument the whole time isn't just it's benzos and then it's not. I have never said that. I don't believe in that, and I'll tell you guys, that's the one thing probably that really separates me from the others. And some of you will hear that and go, I don't like this guy. Okay, fair enough. My background's in clinical psych, not a barber, not a mechanic. I'm looking at things from that lens, a clinical psych lens. And so I know it's not just chemistry and drugs and drug withdrawal and benzos are evil, but there's a mental illness involved, not just pre-benzo, but what happens while you're suffering in a prolonged continuous state, So I think what you guys, some of you don't realize is how powerful mental illness alone can be, which is why I say, go to join a forum. If you have health anxiety through benzo-induced health anxiety, join a health anxiety support group and go watch what these people are saying and read their words, talk to some of them, hear their stories. You'll be damn impressed how much overlap there is. Or talk to someone who has agoraphobia or severe depression, or someone that's coming off an SSRI. Talk to someone who has PTSD, and hear the overlap. And you start to see it. You're like, wow. Okay, so there's benzo withdrawal, that usually benzos are prescribed for mental illness. And then benzo withdrawal causes more new mental illness, while at the same time exacerbating the pre-existing mental illness, while at the same time completely physiologically frying our nervous system in the process for a period of time. So those three things alone, is, so when you go benzos, it took 8 years to heal. I go, why? I'm very skeptical of that. I have to be honest. I'm a little skeptical of it. In the terms that, not that it took her 8 years. I don't think she laid around faking her symptoms, right? But I question if it was 8 years solely because of benzos. That's where I would go, If so, well, okay, then you know what? I don't know. She's the one person I never met that actually has that true story. Everyone else that I meet are getting better. So when I say most, it's kind of a disclaimer, and it's also not to gaslight anyone, because I don't know for sure if benzos don't. If there isn't someone who 10, 20 years later, for, just some kind of weird, nothing else, nervous system, crazy response, I don't know. But let me tell you, that happens with marijuana, right? There's people that have died from smoking marijuana. There's people that die 3,000 on average a year in the United States from aspirin. Drinking too much water can kill you. So you can't say, if I was, hosting a video and said, no one can die from water. No, I have to say most people who drink water will be okay, because someone who has some rare disorder or drinks too much water might die. So I mean, it's just that, guys. And it's, just in case someone's watching and they are not healed, or they were damaged, or they had a, usually, if you're damaged from a benzo, it's almost like a paradoxical kind of situation, which it's not a long-term thing. But look, we don't know the results if you were on a high dose of benzos for 20 years, and I would imagine it would still take time either way for your nervous system to heal. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but I'm just kind of answering this off the top of my head here. So again, with Dr. Lee's story, or anyone who took 5 or 8 years, I would say the first couple, 2-3 years, really at the most, you're probably spent more physiologically healing. And really, I think it happens probably like within 6 months to a year for most of us, maybe 2 years, if you're working out the kinks, so to speak. But even then, those kinks are worked out, or they're probably pervasive for so long because of the other stuff going on that I'm talking about, right? Like, we all take it back. What is a benzo? And this would be a good topic for another video. I mean, what is benzo withdrawal and recovery? And if you ask me, it's a traumatic stress disorder. It's a traumatic stress disorder on top of a profound chemical withdrawal, of course. But it's stressed. In the end, it becomes a stress disorder. It was facilitated by a stress disorder and manifested by becoming a reinforced stress disorder. Phobias, all of that stuff, to the point where the body becomes somatic. It starts to turn on itself. Then the depression's a whole nother element to this thing, right? So anyway, it's a stress disorder. And what I'm trying to say is, when you're coming off it and you're healing, and you're battling all this other mental illness and all the repercussions and fallouts of benzo and all of it. I mean, it's just like you're sitting in a pot of water and it's getting hotter and hotter. At some point, it's not about the benzos anymore. It's not even about that. And so that's been my whole big message. If you go back in all my videos, it's in there somewhere, I'm sure, in most of them, that this is more than benzos. This requires a lifestyle change. This requires us to do a whole inventory and look at our life under a microscope, and then learn new, skill sets, learn new things. I mean, here's the thing: we can't do it by ourselves. The only reason I was able to do what I did and come back and show you was because I was in school for several years learning clinical psychology, with the supervision of like really smart people. I mean, many smart people I was learning from. So it wasn't my information. I didn't invent it. It was the result of many things. It was the result of my time spending almost 20 years learning Zen meditation, and how that crossed over to mindfulness and CBT and DBT and all of this stuff, that I try to trickle into my videos, into my coaching, to my whole program, with respect of not trying to offer you a therapy, but just kind of a holistic, smart hygiene, a neurological rehabilitation. Just good advice that's always growing. It's always going to be growing. In 5 more years, I'll have it even more refined, and I'll have new elements to it. New, supplements and new. There's so many new things coming out. I mean, ketamine for depression. I mean, that's one of these newer ones that are regrowing parts of your brain that process serotonin. Your brain's ability to process serotonin. Like, this is remarkable stuff, and it's an alternative to an SSRI. So what happens in the next 5 years? Well, who knows? Maybe they have a drug by then. We get enough attention to this that, like Suboxone is for opiate addicts, something that can take the edge off while we heal. That alone, right? Like, if you had a benzo Suboxone, you would actually be able to reduce so much of the manifestations of mental illness while tapering. I mean, you could literally just sort of detox, and then work on your pre-existing condition, and hopefully just do well. All right. Of course, I literally turned this on, so I'm going to do 5 minutes. It's been 15. Apologize for that. I'm not good at answering things in a short way. But really, to be fair, I mean, this was a loaded question. So I do want to get back to it and kind of close out here. When I say most people, I want to clarify, I've only seen people recover. I've never seen a case, even when I got people that said, I'm 5 years out, and which is very rare. I'm still not healed. And then we talk, and I listen to her story, and there's always other stuff. They forget to tell you that they were on 20 years of SSRIs, or they lost their child, to cancer, or just insert like many elements of a life story that could, that could account for why you came off in a delicate state, a super profoundly delicate state, coming off benzos, and during this vulnerable period, was not able to make a full recovery. Well, what does that mean? You recovered from the benzos, but you lost the fight temporarily anyway to manifested mental illness. So when I say most, it's a disclaimer. Everyone will heal. You all will heal, right? You just got to work hard at it. You got to educate yourself. You got to do things that you've never done before to get new results. And you have to change your thinking. I mean, it really is profound how it works. You have to change your thinking on this. You have to have faith in your recovery. You have to believe, so that you can lull down that hyper vigilant, alarm system in your head. Because every time the alarm goes off, it's like, you made 3 steps forward and you go back 2 steps. And if it rings again, damn, you went back 4 steps. Then you start to feel hopeless. You start to feel like, the wheels are coming off. And that's usually when you guys call me. Oh my God, I had a setback. It's been 3 weeks, and I'm, and it just starts to just elevate, and it gets scary. All right, I'm officially signing off, because now I'm just definitely rambling into incoherence. Hope that helped, Shelly. If you guys have other questions, it's kind of fun. I'll be happy to answer them. I'll talk to you soon. See you guys.